Hey, and welcome to Dr. G Speaks. I am Dr. Kristen Guillory, and I am so very excited to help you experience a life of freedom, faith, and fun you may not even realize is possible. Listen, I know you feel held back, I know you feel stuck, and I know you are hiding. As a coach and the author of Look, Stop Hiding, How to Find Your Voice and Never Dim Your Light Again, you will get to listen to some amazing stories, receive some homework, that's the professor in me, and get some tools to help you live the life you deserve. It's time to quiet the noise and walk in the fullness of who God created you to be. It's time to stop hiding and start thriving. Together, we'll uncover your potential and ignite your journey to a fulfilling life, a life of freedom. I had just responded to my cousin's happy birthday text when about 2 minutes later, he called me. I answered. He says, "I love you, cuz. I'm so proud of you." And it shocked me so much. I felt tears getting ready to come out. He said, "I just wanted to call you and tell you that I am so proud of you. I see everything that you were doing, and man, you're just doing it. I love you. Life is short. You never know." And I didn't want to go without saying this. I know we don't talk long. I love you and I'm proud of you. Y'all, I was speechless. And I told him, "Well, cuz I love you too. Thank you so much for this call. I appreciate this more than you'll ever know." Y'all, I had no idea that when I answered my cousin's call, it would turn into one of the richest and most beautiful conversations that I'd had in a while, specifically with a man. We talked about everything from growth and trauma and healing and what it means to live your life and men and more. Before I knew it, I was taking notes. Me, the person who gives all the homework, all the information, and people ask me for the replays because they weren't able to take notes fast enough. Me. I was taking notes because what my cousin was sharing was too good not to write down and then not to share. This podcast episode is born from that conversation. And I know my cousin's wisdom. I know what we shared together in our conversation is necessary for others to hear. So, shout out to my cousin Michael. Thank you for your wisdom and your love. And this episode is dedicated to you. So after my cousin said all these lovely words to me, I told him that I was actually recently talking to my mom about him. And I shared, like, I was talking to my mom about you and just saying, what a great man you are. And, because it stands out because there's a lot of raggedy men out here. And his response was he laughed and said, "Yeah, tell me about it. I know. I know." And I said, "Listen, I know there's some good men. I know that. I know that. But sheesh." And that acknowledgement led us somewhere important to talking about what is the difference? Like, why are some men raggedy, in my opinion, right? And some aren't. And I asked my cousin, I said, "So, how are you the way you are? You've been through some hard things, and how are you still seemingly like a solid man?" And he said, "I do a lot of self retrospect. I do a lot." He said, "I also am very honest with myself." He said, "I'm not perfect. I have my own flaws. I have different things going on, but to be honest with ourselves and to have that self retrospect is really, really important." We talked about the notion that you have to be honest with yourself, and not just in general, but specifically and radically honest about shortcomings, about mistakes. And, it's hard for some people to own what we've done. I mean, it's been hard for me. Let me be honest. Hold up, hold up. Is that the truth? Has it ever been hard for me? It has a couple of times. Yeah, it's been hard for me to own, like, oh my gosh, I need to be honest about that, but not too much. I generally am able to be honest with myself. But yes, it has been hard. And, why do some people find it so hard to own what they've done. You know, they try to lessen it, minimize it, justify, reframe, want to appear perfect. But here's the truth that my cousin mentioned. He said, listen, we are all fundamentally flawed. We are not perfect. People have vices. That's not the problem. The problem is pretending you don't. The problem is pretending you're perfect. Trying to be perfect is actually a form of dishonesty with yourself and others. So, question for you, Dr. G Speaks listener, is where in your life are you softening the truth about yourself? What are you not owning? In the conversation, I brought up somebody I know who seemingly is not making some of the best decisions for himself, for his health, for his marriage, for other things. And my cousin, without hesitation, asked the question, what is he afraid of? Why isn't he owning up to it? What can't he deal with? And the answers pointed to the same thing every time, avoidance. But avoiding what? Like avoiding the discomfort, avoiding accountability, avoiding healing. Like, what are you avoiding? And so there are four moves of avoidance that I've thought about, I've considered, and one form is not owning it, refusing to acknowledge what you've done. The second is minimizing it, trying to make it smaller than it is. Stalling. If you don't own up to it, you stall your life and projection, making it about everyone else. What's one of the solutions? What's one of the antidotes to it? Acknowledge it. Like acknowledge it. Something that I shared with my cousin and I share with my clients and friends often is awareness. I think awareness is such a magnificent gift. I had a client who shared that she was scared of something. And I celebrated that, like, wait, we celebrate because you are aware. And after you are aware of this, acknowledge it, own it, do whatever you need to do about it so it doesn't rule your life anymore. My cousin mentioned that you can have remorse and you can keep living. Life doesn't have to stop if you've made a mistake. Own up to it. You stall, you cheat yourself, you cheat your life. And it's interesting. I guess you can tell we are related because he said something that I have said too. And he said, listen, you've been scared before, you've survived it. What are you actually protecting right now? And I was telling my cousin that in working with men in particular, something that I've run into so many times in the work that I've done is working with some of these non-raggedy men, some amazing men. There is this hesitation because of the possibility of discomfort or I don't know what's on the other side. And actually, at the December Candid Conversations for Men, that is something that I shared and one of the men on my team co-signed it and shared a little bit more. And it was around, gentlemen, I know there are some things you are uncomfortable considering. Like you are so worried about the discomfort. But imagine what is on the other side. You've been uncomfortable before. You've been scared before. And this is not just something that is about men, it's men and women. And my cousin said, listen, do you know or realize what's on the other side of doing that thing that you're uncomfortable doing or scared to do, whether it's starting something new, apologizing, owning it? Do you know what's on the other side? I am someone that I have a few friends who tease me about this. They know that I lean into the discomfort, into the pruning, into the ownership, into the processing, because I know what's on the other side. And a good friend of mine said, yeah, you're one of the only people I know who basically runs to the discomfort. And I said, but do you know what's on the other side of that? Do you know the growth that might happen that's on the other side of it? Uh, like, oh my gosh, yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it sucks in moments, but do you know what's on the other side. I told my cousin about my theory that if you are willing to be uncomfortable for 7 seconds in terms of there's a conversation you need to have with someone to apologize, to get clarification, to anything, my theory is if you are willing to give it 7 minutes, 7 minutes of discomfort, it may turn into 10, it may be five. On the other side of that, he's like, cuz I've been there. He's like the dopamine rush that comes when you are willing to face yourself and do the work. It's just amazing. But you got to be courageous enough to do it, courageous enough to be uncomfortable, to have that conversation, to be radically honest, to face yourself. At some point in the conversation, we talked about someone who seemed to be giving up. And my cousin's question was essentially the question, why are you giving up? And this is something that they might not have even realized they were doing. Sometimes there's a subconscious deal people make with themselves, a quiet agreement that says, I don't deserve better. This is just how it is. I should not have made that decision. So this is the consequence of it. So you're giving up. Questions worth asking yourself or someone you love who you feel like they've given up on their job or given up on trying or giving up on their health or in a relational aspect or just giving up on pursuing something that they've desired to do. What are you unhappy about underneath all of this? What are you running from? If you keep this up, what do you lose? What might you lose? And sometimes when we feel like giving up, we isolate. Isolation is real. When someone is giving up, the people around them feel it, even if nothing is said. So if you are someone who's isolating, I want to encourage you to reach out to someone right now. Pray right now. If you know someone who you believe is isolating, step in. Step in knowing we cannot outlove somebody's wound, and we can step in and say, I see you and I'm here if you want some help. If it's a mistake, own the mistake. Own the mistake. That's literally the way out. Own the mistake. The number of people that I have conversed with who made mistakes at work or in a relationship, and because in their mind the mistake was so massive, the mistake was so big, they sat in shame. They didn't want to deal with the mistake, so they ignored it or they gave up or they ran away instead of just owning it. Oh, ownership is absolutely magnificent. After awareness is ownership. On my birthday, I watched the series The Rookie all day. That's all I wanted to watch. And I watched, and yes, it's a TV show, and I watched some radical ownership. The couple, Tim and Lucy, if y'all know the show. That day, Tim made Lucy upset. And Lucy said, no, you undermined me. No, I didn't like that you did that. And Tim had two choices. He could have not owned it, which would have led to deflection or him defending himself or him minimizing, or he could have owned it and said, you're right, I'm sorry. And again, it was just a TV show, but I could even recognize the truth in it because she was upset. She probably was in the zone to say, I'm not going to talk to him. I'm going to be, done with him for the next couple of days. And he owned it. You're right. I'm sorry. And within a couple of seconds, they were good. Like literally owning it, owning it. And she brought it up. So y'all own the mistake if you've made one. My cousin and I then talked about trauma, and childhood trauma came up. And my cousin said, listen, trauma is real. Trauma is hard. And it's something that is a part of your story. It doesn't have to be your entire story. Y'all, so many people are living today's life through yesterday's wounds. When I was 5, this person said this to me, or when I was 10, this happened. We are not dismissing or minimizing those things happening. And you are no longer 5. You are no longer 10. Yes, these things are part of your story. But what can you do to no longer let that particular thing rule your life? What can you do? Y'all, we don't have a time machine. I know we wish we could go back and change things and fix things, but we can't. We can choose to heal from it, to make peace, to say, yep, it's a part of my story, but it's not all of it. What happened has shaped you. The question is, are you letting it motivate you or retract you? I dealt with this loss. I've dealt with abandonment. I dealt with this, whatever your story is. Are you allowing it to motivate you or retract you? Are you allowing it to show you something, teach you, or hold you down? Y'all, a trap of some childhood trauma, in particular trauma that maybe occurred 5 or 10 years ago, is seemingly always trying to play catch up. If I would have known this, if I would have done this, trying to meet that person back at that age and play catch up. You can't do that. Yes, you can speak to the younger you and acknowledge it and say, what happened to you was horrible, and don't minimize it. Don't minimize it. I'm sure you've done it. I've done it. Well, it wasn't a big deal that that happened. No, acknowledge it. Sometimes the reason it still impacts us the way it does is because we have not radically acknowledged and been honest about how devastating and how hard it was. Yes, when I was 10, this happened and it was devastating and I hated it and I can't believe it happened. Period. Radical honesty about it with your therapist, y'all, because I know you don't want to be stuck in a cycle. Letting the pain of the past make decisions for the present. Be careful of that. My cousin mentioned that the trauma is there and will never fully heal from it. Something I like to say is it's like walking with a limp. My cousin said, listen, people think when you heal completely. And my cousin said, there's going to be a scar. And that's okay. That's okay. Y'all, most trauma can be conquered, not erased, but conquered. You can turn the negative into the motivator. You can turn the pain into fuel. Sometimes, because of what we've gone through, we revert back to children. We let the younger us make the decision. That little boy, little girl needed someone and didn't get it. You are grown up today. Are you going to keep letting the child make the adult decisions for you? And you may not even realize that. And we want to honor that child. We want to thank them. We want to see them and tell them they can rest. Do this in therapy. You can say, I see you. I acknowledge what happened and it was horrible. And now I, as the adult, am going to take the wheel. Y'all, healing is not the absence of the wound. It's learning how to live with the scar. It's learning how to walk with the limp. My cousin said healing is not letting the wound run you. It's being able to function, to love, move forward, even while carrying something. He said, you'll always have a scar, and that's okay. Y'all, healing is not forgetting it happened, never thinking about it again, being fixed completely, performing wholeness. You won't heal fully, and you can live with that, or can you? Y'all, coping is not failure. Coping is wisdom. Coping is survival. Getting help is wisdom. Y'all, the goal isn't to pretend the wound never happened. The goal is to stop letting the wound make your decisions. The goal is to be honest. So, y'all, I think the conversation with my cousin, it was so rich and so beautiful because we talked about, people we know. We talked about ourselves and choices we've made. I even told him, cuz the wisdom that you have is amazing. I know it's wisdom. I know it's who you are, but I also think it's a little bit of Mimi, our grandmother. We both have kind of similar wisdom arenas per my grandmother. And he said, I've always thought about being a counselor. And I said, you absolutely should. You absolutely should. We talked about accountability and what is needed in accountability. Accountability is not just telling someone, don't do that. He made a great point in that. Because I said, what I've learned in working with all these men, it's very few men actually hold one another accountable. There's community, but very few men actually say, don't do that. He said, yeah, you're right. He said, but what I would actually do is help him weigh the pros and cons, because you could tell the person, don't do that. And there's a chance that they will do that, because have they considered why they shouldn't? So part of accountability that I loved my cousin mentioned is helping the person weigh the pros and cons. The person who is choosing to seemingly make decisions that are seemingly harming themselves, instead of saying you shouldn't do that, we can say that, absolutely. Help to weigh the pros and cons. If you continue on this route, where do you believe it'll end up? If you choose to take a step towards fill in a blank, where do you think that will lead? Weigh the pros and cons in that. And I thought it was great. This beautifully organic conversation with my cousin was a gift I didn't even realize was needed. And hearing him say things with this clarity, knowing what my cousin's been through, knowing some of the very hard things he's been through, and still having this level of wisdom, awareness, not blaming, not deflecting. We talked about a couple of things. And in that, he was, listen, I have no issue with that person. For me, it's about accountability. For me, it's about this and this and being honest. So I'm sure if my cousin was here, he would probably ask you, what are you not being honest about? What are you afraid of? I didn't know that this was going to turn into a podcast episode, but it was good. It was so good. And one thing that I do want to share that my cousin mentioned is, he said, in terms of kind of waiting for someone to do something they said they were going to do, waiting for someone to heal, waiting on someone to get back to anything like that. If you feel like you're waiting, he essentially said, stop letting someone else dictate the schedule and the pace. Be careful of that. Be careful of, oh, I have to rearrange because I haven't heard back. I have to rearrange because they haven't done this yet. I have to rearrange because they're stalling. I have to rearrange. Be careful. It's a slow, almost like a slow leak that you don't even realize, wait a minute. Is everything I'm doing going at their pace? This isn't working for me. Yeah, when you're waiting on someone who isn't moving or waiting for someone to change, we're giving them the pen to write our story. Ooh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Was the pinky toe stepped on? When you're waiting on someone who isn't moving or waiting for someone to change, you're giving them the pen to write your story. You are letting them dictate. You are letting them dictate what's going on, what's next, whether you move, whether you stay, whether you heal. And listen, that needs to stop. You are not obligated to wait indefinitely. You are not obligated to shrink your life to fit someone else's unwillingness to grow. Make sure you know somebody, someone who will tell you the truth, someone who will call you on your birthday and say, I love you without an agenda. Yes, I know there were many things that I shared today. I thought all of it necessary from the conversation I had with my cousin, Michael. This is a conversation that didn't start as a podcast. It started as love. Just a man calling to say you matter and life is short. And y'all, everything that flowed from that was the truth. We talked for 4.5 hours. Raw, real, necessary. Somebody needed to hear this today. Own your stuff. Make your peace. Pray. Understand what healing is. Understand healing takes time. And stop giving someone else the power to set your pace. And because I love homework, here are some questions for you. Where in your life are you softening the truth about yourself? And what would change if you just acknowledged it? What if you just acknowledged, I messed up? What if you just acknowledged, I sabotaged this? Or I'm pretending like I'm okay about this and I'm not. What's the truth? Maybe something happened to you when you were younger and you never fully acknowledged it. You've been softening it. I saw an interview recently, and a woman shared that when she was 7 years old, her gymnastics teacher called her fugly. And she said, looking back, I laugh at that because, fugly, that's silly. I'm not ugly at all. And the gentleman she was talking to said, yeah, you can laugh now, but that probably wasn't funny when you were 7. That probably hurt your feelings. And she began to turn red and she began to shed some tears. That's an example of trying to soften the truth. And when you soften it and even try to deflect that as an adult, your own truth, it keeps you stuck. So to acknowledge it and say, man, that I hate it that she said that to me. It hurt my feelings so much. How dare you say that to me? I'm not ugly, but I didn't know that at 7, and it hurt my feelings because it was someone I trusted. Radical truth, radical honesty, facing it. Imagine the freedom that is on the other side. So where do you need to have some radical truth, some radical honesty, and not soften something? Question number 2. Is there a mistake, a pattern, or a chapter of your life you haven't fully owned yet? What has that cost you? Yep, I did it. I can't believe I did it. I felt some shame and I need to own it. Oh my gosh, I used to do this and this. Oh my gosh, when I was in my 20s, Is there a mistake, a pattern, or a chapter of your life you haven't fully owned? What has that cost you? Radical freedom, radical obedience, removing the burden from your shoulders. You cannot do anything about the past. You can acknowledge it, heal from it, ask for forgiveness, speak through it. If there's a mistake that you made with someone, you made a mistake, own it, acknowledge it, call the person. It could be something that happened years ago and it's on your heart. Pray and reach out to them and say, you may not even remember this. Or let me acknowledge and say, I'm so sorry. It could be a mistake you made you didn't even realize was a mistake. Number 3, is your childhood wound motivating you forward or retracting you from the life you say you want? And are you being honest about which one it is? Is your childhood wound motivating you forward or retracting you from the life you say you want? And are you being honest about which one it is? And maybe it's not a childhood wound. Maybe it's a wound from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, last year. Is there a wound motivating you forward or retracting you from the life you say you want? If so, what is the wound? Face it. Be honest. Go to therapy. Go to group therapy. Talk it out. Talk with the Lord. Go do something with it. Number 4, who or what are you allowing to set the pace of your life, your healing, or your next move? And is it time to take that back? Who or what are you allowing to set the pace of your life, your healing, or your next move? And is it time to take that back? Number 5, what does healing actually look like for you? Not the version you perform for others, but the real, scarred, still standing version. What does healing actually look like? Facing it, acknowledging it, dancing through it, somatic work, therapy, showing up, not letting your life be defined by it, forgiving. What is it? What does healing actually look like for you? Not the version you perform to others, not the version you perform. And I am someone who has the eyes to see, and I see so many people performing, so many people performing. And I don't know if they are aware consciously that they are saying yes to raggedy opportunities, being busy, being in captivity to activity. They're performing, not the real scarred, still standing version. Because I want to say this of the person who's performing. You're trying to outperform your wound. You're trying to get another degree, get in another coaching program, fill up your speaking schedule, fill up your whatever schedule as a way to avoid healing, a way to avoid the soul level healing, to allow the Lord to heal you. Traveling everywhere, not being still, get still enough to give your wound, to give your hurt, to give this radical honesty to the Lord and say, God, I want to give it to you. I want to stop running. I've been running. Some of y'all are tired. Some of you are tired. You've been running for years. You've been running for years trying to chase perfection. You've been running for years trying to run away from being hurt again, trying to prevent being hurt again. You've been running from facing yourself. You have to be tired. You have to be tired. God can restore you. He can give you back your endurance. But you have to stop performing. You have to. You have to choose courage. You have to choose radical honesty, obedience, and just saying, God, help. And you have to choose to be willing to continuously do the work, continue walking in this, because y'all on the other side is glorious. Your affirmation for today. I have the courage to look at myself honestly. I'm not perfect, and I don't need to pretend to be. I own my shortcomings. I face my wounds. I acknowledge my mistakes, and I move forward without hesitation and without stalling. Honesty with myself is an act of love for myself. Thank you so much for listening to the Dr. G Speaks podcast. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Deuces.